the massively talented SK Shlomo performing for us here in the BBC Big Blue Tent. Isn't he brilliant, ladies and gentlemen? What talent! He's the award-winning, record-breaking musician, producer, singer, songwriter, beatboxer extraordinaire, Simon Shlomo Khan, a.k.a. SK Shlomo, and he's back at the Fringe this year with not one but two shows as well. He's collaborated with the likes of Bjork, Damon Albarn, Jarvis Cocker, and more, and he's been wowing us all with his incredible skills and setting new standards for his craft. This year, as well as his show for kids, he's bringing us a more personal solo show, Surrender, which fuses honest storytelling that tackles SK Shlomo's own mental health breakdown with innovative live looping, breathtaking beatboxing, and live electronic music. Want to hear more about it? I think we do. Please welcome the hugely talented SK Shlomo.
Thank you.
I feel I should introduce you too, but you've already met, haven't you?
He's been on my... we already met because he's been on my radio programme as well.
We go way back.
Yeah, but it was always... You've got cameras here because on radio you kind of lose some of the point because you just think, oh, there's just music being played, and you then have to say, no, but it's a guy doing it with his mouth and a microphone. But do you find that trouble on radio shows?
Well, it's different on radio shows because you have no idea if they've enjoyed it because they aren't there, so you just have to assume that they absolutely loved it and it was the best thing they've ever heard. You know?
Yeah, we have to take our word for it. Every single noise came from the upper, neck up from your body there. It was incredible. So let's talk about Surrender, first of all, because this is so much more than just you getting up on stage with a mic and making these incredible noises, because there is a very personal story behind this. Give us a wee bit of an insight to it.
So Surrender's this new solo show I've been working on it for such a long time, and it feels really amazing to be here with it. And I think it's the only show on the Fringe that starts off as theatre and ends as a rave. It's a whole lot of fun, but it's kind of a lot deeper than it sounds because I talk about it's an uplifting show, but it does get super emotional in the middle when I'm talking about with my own mental health. There hit a point where I came off the road to make an album because I wanted to be more than just a beatbox. I wanted to be a recording artist, and the process of not having hundreds of people every night having a great time, I found that really hard because I didn't have any kind of distractions left. I couldn't keep looking away from the thing I'd been trying to escape, which I later found out was trauma. I have PTSD, and it's something that I had been trying to escape for a lot of the time. So in the show I talk about this in detail, and it kind of gets really emotional, but there's a real uplifting message in my show, which is about connection and communication, because after I started talking about my mental health, my world completely transformed. And I feel like the more we do that, the more we bring the world together, the more that we can collectively be less ashamed of the parts of us that we feel that aren't good enough. And so the show ends up being this absolutely euphoric. Honestly, every single night I've been here, the crowd have moved their chairs to the side so that they can just let rip and just dance. And honestly, it's been incredibly moving. It's been amazing.
Do you remember the point? I mean, you talk there how tough things got for you, and people say you have to really hit rock bottom before you can start to build yourself back up again. Do you remember the moment when you were right at the bottom and then you had this idea to put the show together? Was that an important point?
Yeah, for me, it was finally admitting that I wasn't okay was just a really big step just to myself, because I felt like I had just pushed myself. I remember walking off stage. I performed on the Pyramid stage as a guest one year at Glastonbury Festival, which had been my ultimate, my dream. And I walked off stage, and I just remember thinking, I'm still not enough. I still don't feel like I could ever be good enough. How am I going to defeat that? And that constant battle just was exhausting. So then when I finally stopped the touring just to try and make some songs, and I stopped that battle, it was everything fell. And I just felt like I couldn't even leave the house for quite a long time. So it was quite scary. But like you say, if you hit the bottom, then you kind of have to make a choice. It's am I gonna let these thoughts take me down, and am I going to be gone forever, or am I going to start trying to make a change? And that change comes with maybe telling someone how you're feeling, and then maybe, that took me a long time, and then after that it took me a long time to speak to a doctor, and then that took me a long time to then go to therapy, and then honestly the baby steps it took to then be here every night doing a really empowered show where I feel really like I can own it all. It's all part of me. I'm not trying to fight it anymore. Sure, we all have mental health, and I'm not saying my mental health is amazing. I still struggle a lot, but now, because I've talked about it, I have support, around me, professional and also just emotional. Like, I have people come up to me on the street and just give me a hug and just say, "You okay, man? I know things have been intense for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, thank you." And it's amazing.
It's so good that we hear that now. We can hear that, and people are opening up a bit more about mental health and you know, speaking to other people, because for so long we didn't, did we?
Yeah, I suppose what people don't understand is if you're on the pyramid stage at Glastonbury, you're the peak of your success, and yet you weren't happy, and that's the bit that people have to sort of take on board.
I think people sometimes see like performers or artists as like these kind of superhuman, necessarily have the same human needs as other humans, but like, and I think I also started to believe that about myself. I'd be like, no, I have to be this superhuman, and I kind of believed my own hype. But it's like, do you know what I mean? You come back off tour, someone's still got to do the washing up and empty the bins. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So what's the reaction been like? This is we talk about this quite a bit on the show, when performers are so close to the audience. You know, you finish the show and you're working your way out of the room with them as well. And you know, you must have touched so many people with this story.
It's been amazing. I've had people crying in my show, like openly, fully crying, and then to then go from that journey from there to the end point when they are singing, they are dancing, like, and then I'm coming off stage and there's like a queue of people who are just like, "Can I just give you a hug? I just want to give you a hug." And it's really lovely, honestly. It feels really good. So yeah, I'm so proud of the journey. I really am.
And your place, you're clearly on your way back now. I mean, because we mentioned at the start there's some of the names of the people that you'd worked with, and am I right in saying that you helped teach Ed Sheeran, because this is a part of what you do as well. You share your talent, you share your skill, you teach others. And Ed Sheeran was one of them, because he's made quite a big name for himself, hasn't he?
He's done well, yeah.
But he sings with his voice. He doesn't do all this making music in that way.
He joined me on my Glastonbury show, and when we were rehearsing, he was looking at my setup, because in a minute you'll see the technology I use, where I use live looping so I can layer my voice up, and that was another part of my kind of, I was the world looping champion. It was another part of like this whole accolades that I was trying to constantly outdo myself with. But anyway, he was looking at like, "What are you doing? How are you doing all this?" Like, he was using this ancient old thing that like could hardly do anything, and then now he's gone on to build his own. Had his own machine built just for him, and he's obviously taken it to like about as high as you can possibly take it. So I'm really proud of Ed. He smashed it.
And I'm hoping you're getting a wee royalty check throughout his.
I should have probably signed a contract with him before. But
what was it like working with Björk? Because she's such an experimental musician.
Björk was amazing, because she was one of the first people to see the beatboxing that I was doing as a form of music rather than just a kind of party trick, like, and myself as well. I really only saw it as like a way to impress people and get free chips, but she was really like, no, can you do like, she kept on challenging me, like, can you do like a techno rumba, or like, I can't remember all these different like combinations of music she gave me, and I was like, okay, cool, and I was trying to make them, and like, yeah, that really was a big turning point for me, because I was like, hang on a minute, if she's taking it seriously, maybe I should do the same. And then that's when things start getting more real for me.
Well, just very quickly, because we'll run out of time, but you are, you know, taking it to the next level. You're actually creating a beatbox album. Is that right? There's an album to come.
My album's out already. It's called Surrender. It does use lots of beatboxing, but I'm also kind of embracing the other sides of me as a singer, songwriter, producer. So the live show's called Surrender, so's that album. And then I've got my daytime show for kids, where I empower the children to find their true voices, which is very, very passionate and very, very silly. It's good fun.
Excellent. Well, Surrender is on at Belly Dancer, part of the Underbelly at Cowgate, at 10:10 in the evening until the 23rd of August. And if you want to take some young people, or even if you don't, SK Shlomo's Beatbox Adventure for Kids is on at Ermintrude Underbelly, Bristol Square, at 3:35 until the 18th of August. My producer took her boys along at the weekend. They absolutely loved it. We're going to be hearing from you a little bit later on, when I might try my hand at a bit of beatboxing. You just never know. But for the time being, SK Shlomo, thanks very much. And Clive Anderson, thank you for joining us as well. Thank you, my guests. Thank you.